Hey, how's it going? So I recently unlocked this crafting method on my hardcore Ironman, and I think it's a pretty well-known method, but I wanted to make a guide on it for those of you who don't already know. If you play an Ironman account, unlocking this method could be a good goal to work towards because it does have some kinda high requirements. I mean, it's not super high up there, but it's probably not something you would unlock in the early stages of the game. So the main requirements for this method is to have completed Lunar Diplomacy to be on the Lunar spellbook, and have 77 magic to cast the Superglass Make spell. You'll also need 2 Astro Runes, 6 Fire Runes, and 10 Air Runes for each spell, so it's definitely worth it to have a Smoke Staff if you have it, although it is more of a late game item to have, so a Staff of Air will work just fine. You need more Air Runes than Fire Runes anyways. Plus, I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like I get a lot of Fire Runes from Slayer, so I already have plenty of Fire Runes on my account. As for Astro Runes, you could craft them yourself, although it's probably more efficient to buy them from Baba Yaga's magic shop just north of the bank in Lunar Isle. She stocks 250 by default and starts them at a price of 50 GP each, and also don't forget your Seal of Passage if you're going to be trading with her. So 2 Astro Runes will cost you 100 GP, and 6 Fire Runes will cost you about 26 GP, but even as the prices go up with lower stock, you'll probably still only be spending around 150 to 200 GP per cast. But once we really get into this method, or if you've been paying attention to what's been going on screen, you'll see that one cast kinda goes a long way. As for the crafting level that you'll need, you'll already have 61 crafting because that's one of the requirements for Lunar Diplomacy, so you'll want to be making lantern lenses all the way until 87 crafting, and then do light orbs to 99 from there, if this is the method that you choose to go with for your crafting training. As I'm sure you can tell by the title, this method involves using the traders at the charter ships. So you're going to start by making your way over to any of the charter ships in the game, and make sure you've got your staff, your runes, and you'll need some GP as well, but you'll barely go through any GP, like you'll probably lose under 1k GP per hour. And then you'll also need a glass blowing pipe, but you could just buy them from the trader crew members once you get there. You could bring a lot of extra GP as well to travel between different charter ship locations, in case one location is out of stock in every world. Now, if you have an Ironman and have made it this far into the game, then you probably know that shops in the game for Ironman have different stocks than what regular accounts see. Meaning, if you go to a location and it's bought out, then that means another Ironman is doing that method, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Usually people have a set list of 15 worlds or so that they cycle through, so that by the time they're done finishing up at that last world, the first world on their list has a full stock again. So you could hop to a different world that's maybe 15 to 20 worlds away and try to find your own set of worlds to cycle through, but again, like I said, if every world that you hop to is bought out, you could take a charter ship to another location and just try there. So the way this spell actually works is that you need to have an even amount of buckets of sand and either seaweed or soda ash. If you are making molten glass in a furnace, then you need to use soda ash, but because you're just using the spell, seaweed will work too. And I'd recommend buying seaweed over soda ash because early stage Ironmen buy soda ash to make molten glass in the furnace, so you don't want to take their stock away from them when seaweed is pretty much never bought out. And on top of that, soda ash only has a default stock of 10 while seaweed has a default stock of 20. Buckets of sand have a stock of 10 as well, so a lot of people will buy 10 buckets of sand and 10 seaweed at a time, but I like to hop around more to fill up the inventory with 12 and 12, but it's really up to you and also depends on how many worlds you have to yourself. Also, one cast of the spell will use up all the resources in your inventory, so it's not like one cast per molten glass, otherwise this method probably wouldn't be very efficient to do. Another thing that's nice about this method is that on average you'll get 1.3 molten glass per set of items. So if you have 12 of each, you'll probably get around 16 or 17 molten glass each time you cast the spell. It's always random though, but I've actually gotten like 22 molten glass from just 12 and 12. Also, with this method, it can be very beneficial to set up F keys so you can quickly go between your inventory, spellbook, and world hopper to minimize your mouse movement and make this method slightly less stressful than it needs to be. And so I'm sure you've gotten the gist of how to actually do this method just by watching what I've been doing on screen, but to break it down, essentially what you do is buy equal parts of buckets of sand and seaweed, or soda ash, cast your Superglass Make spell, blow all the glass into the highest level item you can, sell it back to the shop, hop worlds, and repeat. As for the XP rates, it'll depend on how many worlds you have free, how much attention you're paying to the game, and how much practice you actually have doing this method. Because like with a lot of skills in the game, the more you do it, the more it becomes muscle memory, and you're able to zone out and not really think about what you're doing. The rates I was getting while recording this video was 73k crafting XP per hour, and just under 6k magic XP per hour, And based on all those factors that I just mentioned, the rates will definitely be different for you. And once you get 87 crafting for light orbs, you can look forward to getting even more crafting XP. And methods like this are the reason why I really love playing an Ironman account, because playing on a regular account, you probably wouldn't ever think to do something like this when you could just buy all the supplies from the GE. But on an Ironman account, it makes you learn more about the game and go to places you normally wouldn't go to and utilize shops that normally wouldn't be used. I'm going to throw some potentially helpful links to the Old School RuneScape wiki in the description, and if you have any questions at all about this method, then please feel free to ask in the comments. And if I forgot to mention anything, then please let me know as well, and I'll be sure to update the video description with that information. But otherwise, I want to wish you the best of luck with your crafting training and with any other goals that you may have in the game. So with that being said, I hope today's video was able to help you out in one way or another. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you again tomorrow.